All right. Well, first of all, thank you for joining today. This is I've never done this before, so it's a new thing. It's stretching my, um, I guess, abilities. And so thank you for coming, and I will let you know what we're doing today. So my interest is abstract art, and I'm a teacher on special assignment here in the Pajaro Valley Unified School District. Um, so I've taught for many years, and I also ran a nonprofit organization in Brooklyn, New York. And I'm a member of American Abstract Artists Group, which was founded in 1930s when abstraction was new. So I love painting. I have a tradition with my family where we bake cookies every year, and we paint them. Basically, decorate them and use lots of different colors. I put in the chat here a couple of things for you guys to look at. One is a presentation of some artists who inspire me, and one is a link to the recipes that we have that I'm going to be using today. So I'll quickly just go ahead and show those to you. I'm going to share my screen, I think. Maybe I'm not going to share my screen. Oh, wait, let's see. Oh, yeah, that might be complicated. I'm using my work computer, which I don't usually use. But you can go ahead and open up these documents here. The first one is a list of artists that inspire me. And the second one is just the ingredients and directions for our project today. All right. And I just want to say welcome to my home also. So I'm going to take you around a little bit so you can see the project, what we're going to be working on. Okay. So we're going to make cookies and we're going to decorate them today. These are the ingredients, which is in that document that I linked to in the chat. I hear a dog. I also have a dog. I don't know where he is right now. I'm also going to show you some art in my home because I am an artist and I have an art collection also. So this is my work here, which is a series called Balancing Acts. They're abstract color, relationships, and form. Some other artists who I have collected over the years are also here in my home. More artists' work, sculpture. There's my little patio out there. My messy bed that you're seeing. This is a teacher here at Pajaro Valley Unified School District, Cami Schaefer, who made that. There are some more artworks in my hallway. I'll take you over here. More abstract work, Mel Prest, Alex Pike. You can see my messy bathroom. This is Melissa Steiger, and here Natalie Fisk's work. Oh, and these are some cute, good ones too. We've got Jane Rim, Francesca Pasquin, and Stephen Dudboy here. So you have a chance to see some of the artwork that I find exciting and interesting as a painter myself. Okay, are you guys ready to get started making cookies?
That was very nice, Rhia. I loved seeing your home. Thank you for inviting us in.
Of course. All right. So I was either going to try to impersonate Julia Child or the Swedish Chef from the Muppets, but I don't think I'm good at that. So I'm just going to be myself. All right. So first thing we're going to do today is we're just going to make the cookie dough. And again, I don't know, Alicia, if you feel like sharing your screen, you could quickly present maybe. My presentation mode's not working with Zoom right now. The ingredients, that's an idea.
Yours is not working?
It's not, I don't know why.
You're not able to try it again.
Okay, let me try.
This is a different PDUSD, and we actually have a lot of capacity, a lot of expertise.
Yeah.
To share.
Yeah, let me try.
I think that helped lift the whole county up.
Let's see.
if not, is it a presentation that you want me to share?
Yeah, you know what you could share actually is just the link to the instructions. Yeah, it's not working for me right now. So that just people can see what is involved.
Okay. So I saw that you did put, let me put the link to the recipe and then I'll share it, okay?
Perfect.
Briefly.
Okay. So the recipe is here in the chat, and then Alicia will share it with you. What you're gonna need is 2 bowls for mixing. And it's a good idea to start with the dry ingredients first. So those are, I'll lean this way so you can see: flour, salt, baking powder. Okay, so I already measured this out because this is like a cooking show. So I'm gonna put the flour in first here. And then the baking powder, which is half a teaspoon. And then 1/4 teaspoon of salt, which is kind of like, I just kind of guess because I don't have a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon for some reason. And then that's it. That's the dry ingredients. And then you just kind of, here, let me go like that so you can see. You just kind of mix them together like so. And then it's time for the wet ingredients, which you can see over here is butter, sugar. I already measured that out. So let's see, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Yeah. I think I might have made a mistake there. Let me see. Oh yeah, I did. That's okay. You know what? When you're dealing with sugar and butter, it's like doesn't really matter if you do it perfectly because it's gonna taste good no matter what. So I put a little, not enough sugar the first time. All right. Now, what you're gonna do is mix these together, the wet ingredients in your separate bowl. And it's good to use a fork with the butter because this part you're gonna actually kind of like cream the butter together with the sugar butter, which if you have kids around, is like their favorite thing. That's a good time to let them taste it because it doesn't have the egg in yet. So you kind of, can you guys see what I'm doing? You kind of, oh, there you go, you got it. Yeah, that's the ingredients in preparation. So you can refer to that later because most of you probably are at work and you're not like doing this at your house. So you can just look at that later for this exact same recipe instructions. So the butter is supposed to be kind of soft so you can mix it in well. If it's too hard, you could put it in the microwave for a little bit and make it softer. This is actually not too bad because I had it at room temperature.
Rihanna, would you allow participants to ask you questions as you are talking? Would you be able to do that?
Of course. So if anybody has any questions while I'm going, just let me know. All right. And then you're going to add the egg and try not to get the eggshells in there. But again, it's not the end of the world if you do. It's just a little extra crunch to your cookie.
That's always a challenge, not getting the eggshells in there.
You know, what are you going to do? All right, so there's your egg and your butter and your sugar mixture, and then you want to put a tiny bit of vanilla in, and you can measure it, or if you're kind of lazy like me, you don't want to measure, you just put a little bit in. All right, now some people have Cuisinarts or other fancy things. I never got into doing that, so I always just mix it, you know, with a fork or like a spoon. All right, so we have our dry and our wet, and we go ahead and put them together like so. And you mix it in like this. And then you'll notice that the flour there's a lot of flour. So there might be a point where you get tired of stirring it with a spoon. And then you're just gonna go ahead and put your hands in there. obviously we've all washed our hands before we start baking. I always tell my son that, like, if you're gonna help, you need to wash your hands. And then I'll probably want to wash them for you again. So don't be afraid to just get your hands in the dough, like so. And you're basically just mushing it all together until it kind of joins together and is not as crumbly anymore. A little messy, but it's fun. And this is that kind of thing like we talk about with students, getting that kind of physical experience and feedback. It's good for them. Like if they're helping you in the kitchen and you give them this kind of a project to knead the dough, it actually helps calm them and makes them feel that tactile experience, makes them feel good. And it's fun. So, all right. So basically you just kind of knead it together until it forms a ball-ish. Get all that flour in there. And then the idea is you're gonna let it, let's see if I get it all in there. Good. You're gonna kind of form it into a ball, like so. And you're gonna put it in the fridge for like an hour or so, like that. Okay? I already have some that I had in the fridge. It's like a cooking show. So this one's already been chilled a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to roll this out and use a cookie cutter, okay? Anyone have any questions yet? Am I going too fast? I do this sometimes for the gate nights where I do a presentation. I feel like sometimes the kids think I go a little fast, and I'm always helpful. I'm always happy when they speak up about it. This is probably a good time if you're going to be baking to preheat your oven. So this one is going to be 350 degrees. And let me see if I can see you a little better. Okay, great. And then this part, you're going to roll out the dough. I like to separate my dough out into smaller pieces because it's kind of a lot to roll out that big ball on. And I don't have like a huge kitchen or cutting board, so I put a little bit of flour on the bottom and make it a little flat. And then I use this rolling pin. Now, if you don't have a rolling pin, there have been times in my life when I haven't had one, and you kind of have to find something else. Like you could use anything round, like a can of beans or a bottle of wine or a bottle of anything, and just roll it out. Okay. Now, when you roll it out, you want to try to get it in even. So you'll notice like the edges sometimes are thicker or the middle gets a little thin. So you kind of, the goal is to get it kind of even across, like so. And then it's about 1/4 inch approximately, or a little bit thin. I usually make them a little bit thinner. And then you take your cookie cutter and you put it wherever you want. This is a penguin. So we have, in our family, we have a tradition of not really having the most like regular cutters. At one point I had an octopus. I think it's at my sister Laura's house right now in some bag of cookie cutters. But here's a penguin, a dog bone, and you can kind of put them on there and just keep going. This way you don't, you can space them out and you don't have to worry about it.
Rihanna, I have a question.
Yeah.
Are these cookies sugar cookies or shortbread cookies?
They're sugar cookies.
Sugar cookies. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So they have an egg in them. I think that shortbread cookies are just butter and flour.
Okay, thank you.
Which are also delicious. All right. So I also have like more of a traditional holiday Christmas tree. But one thing I've liked about making these, we make these every year, is that no matter who we make them with, if it's like friends or you know, people we know from like where I used to live in Brooklyn, people would come and we would all make them together, and it didn't matter if my friend was Jewish or Muslim, or it was less about like Christmas and more about just doing some fun activity together. And we would just kind of come up with sometimes our own, we would just cut out our own shapes and have fun making them.
Mhm.
All right, so you see these. You're gonna take a parchment lined cookie sheet and just go ahead and carefully put them on there. Since the dough is chilled, it's pretty easy to hold if you don't make them too thin. And you can just kind of like pick them up with your hands and move them over. Sometimes you might want to use a spatula. Or if you're ever making these with kids, it's like, sometimes it's good to just have them use a spatula because it's a little less room for error. And basically you're just gonna put them on that cookie sheet and put them in the oven. And you don't even need to space them out that much because when they bake, they don't really like expand that much. And that's kind of cool. So you can just kind of fill up your whole tray. And in fact, I'm gonna move this over. I already have a cookie tray that I cooked and cooled. So we'll kind of pretend this is our cooking show demo. I'll just kind of pretend that we already went through that process. And you can see here the cooled cookies, okay? Are we good so far? Awesome.
Yes,
Yeah, we're good. Cookie art, okay. So go ahead and rinse off my hands because I just had them in a bunch of dough and now they have dough on them. So gonna do that. And Alicia, do you want to quickly show that the slideshow link that I shared with the artists? Because this would be a good time to talk a little bit about art because we're about to do some.
I will. Let me know when to switch the slide, okay?
Okay. Great. So I decided to put together, this is a very short selected list of artists that I love. And they're all abstract because I'm an abstract painter and I've just always been drawn to that. That's not to say that I don't also love representational painting, figurative painting. But this is an example of some abstract artists. Go ahead and switch the slide. So I put some links on here so we could share this with you guys if you want to look up some things later. But I'm a part of this organization called American Abstract Artists. It was founded in the 1930s, back when abstraction was contested in the art world. It wasn't something that we take for granted today, that art can be abstract or non-objective. So what's nice is thinking about the fact that over all these years, many people have kind of moved this movement forward. And this is an example of a show that I currently have artwork in. It's a traveling exhibition called The Women of American Abstract Painting. And you can see on the lower right-hand corner, that peachy colored one is my painting. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So one of the things in abstract art and many art movements and historical kind of movements is oftentimes there's a meta-narrative involving mostly white men. So I wanted to pick some examples of women and sort of more underrepresented artists. These women are from Alabama in a small town called Gee's Bend. And they were making abstract artwork from the 1920s on by recycling beautiful fabrics and colors and old clothes and sewing together these amazing abstract designs, often geometric designs with squares and rectangles. Go ahead to the next slide. So you can see, so you can see how the artists were working and really creating these beautiful and complicated patterns using found materials or recycled materials. And then what I love about this is some of these, that link where it says G's Bend on the previous slide has a link to more of the history of these women. You'll see that they were making incredible abstract art way before some of the more well-known artists of that time are moving forward, and it was very ahead of its time. So I always like to think like they were making this kind of work before it even dawned on like Picasso or somebody else to completely become objective. Okay, go ahead, go to the next one. And then this is Lee Krasner, who definitely is one of the founding members of the American Abstract Artists Organization. And she's pretty incredible because her paintings are really delving into all of the common themes of abstraction, form, color, application of paint. And yet most of us hear about her husband first, Jackson Pollock, who's known for just kind of splattering paint and also making beautiful paintings, but he has, I think, maybe a little bit more of a household name. So I love these, this artwork, and I love many of her artworks. Again, this is a link. Her name is a link, so if you want to learn more about her and her work, you can. Just following that. We can go to the next one. And then this last selection, oh, is this the last selection? I can't remember. Well, anyway, this is Josef Albers. He's a painter who really focused on color, and that's one of my interests as a painter. And basically, what that means is that he was really thinking about color relationships. And there's some really interesting things that have to happen optically when you focus in on how colors look side by side. You could be kind of amazed at what your brain interprets as blue or orange compared to what it is in reality, just depending on what it's next to. So, and his method of painting and color exploration was really experimental and observant. So he kind of has a scientific approach where he's kind of observing and experimenting and finding color relationships that way, which I think is pretty cool. Is there one more slide? I thought Hilma F. Klint. She's a painter that is another example of a woman totally ahead of her time. She was painting at the turn of the century, and she basically was a visionary, and she had this group of 5 women who she worked with, and they would actually, she's kind of interesting, they would have seances and try to create visions that they would then later paint. So a little bit out there, but very interesting life story. Again, you could read about her at that link. But one fun fact is that she recently had an exhibition at the Guggenheim in Manhattan, and it was called Paintings for the Future. And basically she had a huge collection of artwork that she created and said she didn't want to exhibit until 100 years later. And then her vision came true, and it was exhibited at the Guggenheim. The crazy thing about this, and sometimes I get like goosebumps thinking about it because it's so out there, is in her diary, in her journal, and her sketchbooks, she wrote about a vision of a space that was a spiral, that was actually a physical architectural spiral leading up to like the heavens. And I don't know if you've been to the Guggenheim in New York, but that's exactly what that museum is. And it was something that she would have never known that there would be an architect who would design that building, you know, years later. So the fact that those two things happened for her, you know, way after she passed away is kind of incredible. So anyway, these are some fun facts and some beautiful paintings and art examples I just wanted to share with you before we start painting our cookies.
So, Rhia, before you go on to that, before we leave this page, I just want to see that I see so much doodling, that at some point we can all be artists, right? Because there is so much doodling. I can see some of my doodling. If I had just filled it in with color, it might have made a difference of how it looked. But I really appreciate this. Thank you so much, because I see the color, and it's just, I'm going to have to go look at her prediction of the Guggenheim Museum. So thanks for sharing that with us, Rhia.
Of course. I mean, one of the things I think that we forget is that artists are people just like us. And the way that you get imagery or how you think of a color combination, it's all invented, and you get to make the choices. And that's what's fun about painting, making cookies. When I work with students, I tell them this too. You're in charge. You get to design it. And it's only your imagination that limits you. So it's a very empowering place to be, even if you're only making cookies. So we're gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna show you how to decorate, okay? Because I know time just flies on these things. It always happens to me when I'm doing the gate night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, time is up. So again, I'm gonna remind you what we're doing. We're decorating cookies. Here's some that I've decorated earlier, and they've already dried. In that instruction sheet that you have the recipe for the frosting. I always like to make it really easy. Honestly, I don't even measure. I just like put the powdered sugar in some water and like mix it up until it's good. But use the instructions if you've never done it before. I went ahead and made some frosting already because of time constraints. And this is just what it looks like. So it's white. And then I'm going to show you, let's see. I have these little bowls that I got. Can you guys see? Okay. All right. So I'm going to pour a little bit of the frosting in each of these bowls, because this is going to be our palette.
I'm going to share real quick this screen just to show them where the glazed frosting recipe is at in your recipe. So it's the easy glazed frosting recipe, yes?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia.
Okay. So I always like to try to keep some back, because otherwise I forget. And then if I want white, I don't have it. So I keep some back. Now, you're going to use food coloring. And this kind is, it's like a gel coloring, so it's really intense. But if you just get this stuff at the grocery store, it's not quite as intense. But this is how you, so I always put just a tiny bit in. So this is how you do it. You just put like one drop, and then you mix it. And this is like, to me, the fun part, because I love painting, to see that color come out. And I kind of like that blue. I don't really want it any darker, so I'm just going to leave it like that. If my son were here, he would try to squeeze out like the whole thing, and then it would be way too dark. Let's go ahead and make red. We'll do the primary colors. That's red, yellow, and blue. It's a little, I guess I haven't used this one since last year. It's a little caked on there. It's okay. Again, just a tiny bit. A little goes a long way with this gel stuff. The kind of the grocery store, again, is like a little bit less intense. Okay. All right, that's a toothpick. Toothpicks are handy to have around when you do this. All right, so again, this is the fun part in my mind, mixing, seeing that color come out. And this is a nice red. I don't mind it that it's a little pink. If you wanted it a darker red, you could just add a little bit more of that food coloring. And then we'll do yellow for the third primary color. So for those of you who don't know this, in color theory, you can actually mix these three primary colors, red, yellow, and blue, and make up all the colors of the rainbow. Let's go ahead and mix that one in. So if I say, hey, you know, I don't have orange here. If I want to make orange, all I really need to do is take a little bit of this yellow, and I'm going to put it in my little tray here. And a little bit of the red. And then I'm just going to mix that together. And then I have orange is going to be in my palette. And you could do the same thing if you want to make, it's kind of like magic, and kids love this too. Like if you have kids around and you want to make it with them, they love to see the color change. If you want to make green, you just go ahead and put your blue. I always start, actually, this is a good tip. You always start with the lighter color because it's hard to go back after you have too much of the darker color. So you put your yellow in, and then a little bit of blue. And then I'm going to use a toothpick because I think I'm out. Oh, I can use this. No, I use a toothpick.
How's it going?
And then you see what happens when you mix it together.
Yeah, I haven't seen him this week, so I think he's up.
It's kind of like a magic mix.
As far as I know.
See the color
I'm
change.
not sure.
Jason Velasquez, can you please mute your computer?
All right. Do you see how that went from yellow and blue and now it's green? So this is the magic of painting and the magic of making art with kids, and and some of us who are artists. All right. So I'm going to show you now how, I think we're doing okay with time. I'm going to show you now how to frost the cookies. Okay. So again, we time warped. I made these cookies ahead and they're already cool. It's really important for it to be cool. You're going to put the frosting on. Now, here's the thing. Don't be too perfectionist. It's going to be messy. It's okay. And then I usually put like a base color. Can you guys see this? In this case, I'm choosing white. Okay. And it's okay if it drips. It's not the end of the world. It's just cookies. All right. And then what can be fun is if you do like a drippy technique. So I'm going to do this here so you can see. So a little drip on top. Okay, and you can leave it like that if you want, or if you have some other decorations you want to put on there. We've got like little almond slivers or mini chocolate chips. You can decorate with those as well. I also have some little sprinkles. So, just kind of have fun at the grocery store and see what's there. And you can make whatever you want. I have a dog bone. This is not a dog cookie, but it's cute.
But I'm sure they can eat it.
They could. They might be a little hyper after. So again, you're doing like a base coat there. Okay. See? Whoop. And then this dog bone, I'm going to do, I like this drippy stuff, so I'm going to just kind of keep going with that. Do little swirls. Woo! And again, don't worry about being perfectionist, because no matter what happens with your cookie, it's made with sugar and butter, and it's going to be good. So my little dog bone, and they can just sit on that cookie sheet and dry when you're making them. I'm thinking about doing a color combination. How long do you bake the cookies? Good question. That you have to decide based on your oven in a way. So I always start baking them at 350 for like 6 minutes, and then I check them. My oven runs really hot. So that's what I do. And then if it's like, I'll show you an example. Like this one kind of got a little bit brown on the edges. That to me is fine. But if some of them, sometimes they get a little too burned. You just kind of feel it out. Honestly, they're not bad, even if they're a little bit crispy. It's fine. Like this one's pretty good. It's a little brown on the bottom. So part of it is just checking it out and seeing if it needs, there's no brown at all, it probably needs another minute, and you just, you know, put it back in.
Rihanna,
Yes.
how long does the icing take to dry?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I didn't hear that question. I'm sorry, Rihanna. Can you repeat it?
Yes, the question was, how long does it take the icing to dry? And the answer is, I don't really know. I mean, it takes like, I would say 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought
I've never timed it.
Uh-huh.
And usually people are already eating them, like when we're making them together.
Okay.
So it's like,
So you have to be ready to put it on as soon as you make it, pretty much, right?
yeah, I think it's a good idea. Like you can make it in advance a little bit, but over time, when you have it in the separate little bowls, it does start to get like a little bit of a coating on the top. Then you have to mix it in.
Okay.
But the other thing is you can actually just add a little bit more water and it'll re-liquefy. Kind of like watercolor paints. Okay, I'm gonna do the penguin because he's so cute. Yeah, the neat thing about, well, I mean, I can tell you about painting and paint in general, is you only need a few things to make paint. You need a binder, which is like the thing that sticks things together. You need pigment, which in this case is the food coloring, or in some cases is just like dirt ground up. And you need a solvent. So there are 3 ingredients to paint. And cookie icing is just like any other paint. The binder is the sugar, and the solvent is the water, and the pigment is the food coloring. And you know, in watercolor paints, the pigment is ground minerals, and these days also some synthetic materials. The binder is like a gum arabic, and then water is a solvent. So these are similar in that water is a solvent for both frosting and watercolor. So you can actually reactivate your frosting by adding more water. Okay, this one I'm going to decorate based on flavor in addition to color, because I love chocolate. So I'm going to put some little chocolate on there. So this is going to be a chocolate and icing cookie. Like that. And I don't know about you, you can get really, like you could actually decorate this really nicely with your toothpicks and like give the penguin eyes and a beak and stuff. Usually I'm in a rush because I'm dealing with like kids and all this stuff. So I don't really get into those details so much, but you can if you want to. It's an option. You get to decide because you're the artist. All right, let me see. I'm gonna do one. I like this kind of green that we made. The nice thing about mixing your own colors is you can get variations. So like this is a kind of a light lime green I can start with. And then if I wanted to, I could add more blue and make a darker green. So it could end up actually painting it like an actual painting. So I'm gonna add a little more blue in my, let's see if you guys can see this. There we go. So pretend this is a palette. A little more blue in there. Mix it up. You can get really kind of into this. I'm like such an art nerd, so to me this is like so much fun. But make a slightly darker green and paint part of it that color. And then maybe I want one side to be blue, so it looks a little bit more like a gradient going from blue. Whoops. And maybe I'll do that last part of the star yellow.
Rhia,
So,
can you show them some of your artwork?
oh, sure. Okay, isn't that pretty? Just color.
Yes, it is.
Sure.
It's very pretty.
So I'm gonna
Piñata.
so let me see if I can, let me think of an artwork I can show you. Oh, I have a sculpture I can show you that I just made. I put it on top of my dryer because I didn't have anywhere else to put it. All right, so this is a sculpture I just made. So you can see it's painting and 3D work. I showed you guys earlier the Balancing Act series. You can always go to my website, honestly, if you want to look up more of my art. But this work is part of a plan that I have for a wall painting. It's an installation of paint and sculptures climbing up a wall for a private collector's home in New York. So I'm in the process of creating the elements that I will then go and install later. So that's what this looks like.
What is your website, Rhia, so I can put it on the link?
Oh, sure. It's Rhia-hurt.com. All right. So you can tell actually this in this example, I love gradients. So this one happens to go from like a teal blue to white to yellow to sort of a day glow orange. In that cookie that I just made, it goes from yellow to light green to blue. Those kind of gradients, and I really love. All right, how are we doing on time? A few more minutes. So the one color, let's see, the one color we don't have is purple. So I can make a purple by mixing. Let's see, who knows what makes purple? This is a test.
Brown and blue.
Nope, but close.
Red and blue.
Red and blue. Yes, Cynthia, you got it. Okay.
Come on. They don't like doodles. They don't.
So what you're going to do is take your red. Again, you're going with kind of the lighter color first because it's easier to see when you mix. And then you're going to take your blue like so. Now notice it's messy, right? Who cares? It's fine. It's just making a mess, no big deal. I can clean it up later. And this is, you see it's like a painter's palette when it mixes. Now pigments are not always perfect. And this is something to think about when you mix colors. This purple is not like the best purple because the blue has a little bit of green in it. But it's okay, it's pretty cool. You know, when you mix colors on a screen, for example, like using Photoshop or Google Draw, it's easier in a way to get true colors because you're not dealing with imperfect pigments. You're just dealing with light. And that's like a slightly different way of thinking about color, more about like the physics of light versus the physical kind of quality of pigment. But I like it. I actually think those are really beautiful next to each other. Can you guys see? So this is kind of a purple that I made, mixing this blue and this red. Now, to be honest, this little kit comes with a purple that the manufacturers mixed. And this one is probably more vibrant, but I like these. I like mixing colors, so. And you know what happens when you mix colors too, is you get the color relationships side by side. And to me, that's much more interesting as a painter than just popping up in like another pigment that came from the manufacturer. So, and then let's put this blue. Look, I'm just painting on the plate now. Let's be honest.
That's gonna become another one of your paintings, it seems, Rhia.
Oh my gosh, it's true. So look how beautiful that is, though. Like you can see the relationships of the colors. This is what Josef Albers is talking about. It's actually seeing the physical relationships between colors. Okay, so now I'm going to try to put this on a cookie. All right, so hey, let's try a new technique. This will be fun. Let's see what happens when I just put the cookie down on it and lift it up. I honestly don't know what's going to happen, so that's fine. Again, this is my style. Experimentation. but that's pretty cool. It worked.
That looks pretty nice.
Yeah, not bad. And then if you want, like I'm thinking this one might be kind of cool. You could decorate this for flavor also. I have these little like almond slivers, which I think would be pretty, kind of radiating out. There we go. My dog is barking. His bark is really funny because he's a puppy. But see, that's kind of pretty.
Yeah.
Do you hear him? Okay, wait. Puppy break. Let me show you this guy. Come here. He saw. I had my say hi.
Oh, how cute.
He wants to look at. He's licking my hands. Now I have to wash my hands again. Okay. Sorry, buddy. Washing hands.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, I mean, that's the gist of it. But we can make more if you want. You like the star? Who said that? You like the star cookie? Oh, good. Is that Marie Stone? Awesome. Let's see. What are we gonna do next? The other thing is you don't have to go with your traditional color combinations. Like I'm noticing in my grouping of cookies, I don't have many yellow base cookies. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make this tree yellow. For fun. You can paint your frosting on there. And now that I think about it, I do want a little blue in there. And you know what? What will happen actually is the tree, the mixing will happen right on the cookie. That's kind of fun. It has like a marble effect. Woo. This is honestly how we do it every year. My family and I would just kind of like hang out and there's no like one way to do it. There's no one answer, you know? It's just like whatever. And even if it turns out ugly, which it never does somehow, it doesn't matter because they taste great. These are, Skittles. So Skittles can be kind of cute. Maybe like little ornaments on there. Just give a little variety. This is so funny. I've never done a cooking tutorial before, but it's fun.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
All right. That one actually turned out really well. I like that one.
Yeah.
And again, it's messy. The frosting's dripping. I have frosting on my hand. It doesn't matter. It's just part of it. All right. And sometimes you drip frosting on accident on the other cookies, and that just adds a little something special to the other cookies. Does anybody have any questions for me? I'm gonna make this one this is a little flower. I kind of wish you were here and you could make them too, because it's like really fun to do with other people. Maybe next year. So one thing that we do also, I should mention, is offer these a lot of the times as gifts. It's kind of an affordable way to give a nice special gift to someone who you like and care about. We often give these to neighbors or, like office mates as a way to just give something that's homemade. And it's not too expensive. I mean, the ingredients, if you go to Trader Joe's, you can get really good deal on butter. Also, Grocery Outlet here in Watsonville has good deals. And flour, and I mean, it's really only a few ingredients. Ooh, this one's looking interesting. Let's see. Here's my little flower. And that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna keep decorating cookies until the end of this. Does anyone have any color combination requests I should ask?
My favorite are blue and yellow.
Okay.
But you've already done some beautiful blue, yellow, so.
Okay. Let's see. We've got, oh, you know what? I have some gold sprinkles. Isn't that fancy? I'll make one with those.
Are those edible? Are we gonna get in trouble putting those sparklies?
No, they're totally edible. And in fact, you know what? Actually, I went to this cake decorating store. So I just moved from New York back to California a year and a half ago. And before I moved, I would go to this cake decorating store on 20th Ave in Manhattan, and they had day glow sprinkles. And I bought them, and then later I thought, is this okay? I mean, they were literally fluorescent, glowing off of the cookie.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but it was so cool.
Yeah.
We had those in our cookie decorating box for a little while. And then finally I was like, I just don't know about these. All right, let's see. All right, so I didn't make one of these yet. So I'm gonna make one of these little stars. And I'm gonna put, these are the gold sprinkles. Sometimes just the simple ones are really pretty too. Like you can make a mixture, some like fancy and some very simple. Like this is just frosting and sparkles.
Pretty.
Yeah. Let's see how some of these other ones ended up drying. They started to dry already. There's the cookie, the dog bone. Which other ones dried? This one is one of the first ones, kind of dry, and I dropped green in the middle on accident. That's all right. This one's already started to dry. This is the gradient from yellow to blue.
Oh yeah.
With green in between.
Pretty colors.
And Alicia, I will bring you some of these, okay? In the office.
Because you cannot eat them all, Rhia. You can't.
I know. Trust me. But this one already started to dry. This one's cute too.
That's very cute.
Yeah, it's so fun. And kids love making these. Of course, when you're doing it with kids, they do end up eating a lot of sugar, and then they're super spazzy after. So it's a good idea to have like a limit, somehow try to limit the sugar, maybe, and then let them run. Like take them to the playground or something. Right now we can't go to the playground, but like take them to the beach or the redwoods or something, and then just let them get that energy out.
Yeah.
All right, are we wrapping up, or what do you think? Okay, I'm gonna make one more. I like this design. Let's see, we don't have any, oh, we don't have any orange ones. I'll make an orange one. And I mixed that color. It's pretty. All right. I like these, they're like little flowers. And I'll do the yellow on the outside. Whoop. A little runny. That orange is running. That's okay. It's kind of nice to work with a material that does its own thing a little, because then you get to make mistakes, and sometimes the mistakes are kind of fun. And again, doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, you still get to eat a sugar cookie, no matter what it looks like. And it's funny because sometimes you think that, you know, you have some funny looking ones. One year we made like the gingerbread
We're very good.
Any last
Yeah.
questions? Oh, good, Cynthia. I'm glad you're going to try these. They're fun, right?
Me too.
A pony cookie. Oh, you want me to pony you a cookie?
You will be able to use it as a breadcrumb.
Yes, you know what? I will do better than that. I will drive you over some cookies.
Thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome.
It's beautiful. Your art and cookies, everything.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye,
Thanks
Lisa.
for joining. Have fun.
Rhia, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much. I was looking at your artwork and I'm really impressed by the flower art. It's so pretty. I love
You
it.
like the wallflowers?
Yes, they're so pretty.
Oh, thank
Anyways, thanks for sharing that. We have an artist amongst us who likes to share her talents. Thank you so much.
Of course. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for joining this 10 days of fun. We'll see you tomorrow at 2.
All right.